Hello and welcome to the Social Distancing Podcast. I'll be having chats with everyday people as they find their way through the next few months as we distance ourselves socially from each other. The discussions will detail their day-to-day life, the methods they're using to keep in touch with friends and families, and among other things, what tips and tricks they have for everyone else. This is episode 2 of the Social Distancing Podcast, and for most people, we're on day 3 of isolation. Hello and welcome. Today I'm speaking to Rob. Rob, welcome. How are you?
Hi. I'm not too bad, Nigel. Thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, pretty good. Getting used to the home life now.
That's good.
Got you here today to speak a little bit about your situation currently. Just need to ask, what's your current living arrangements and work situation?
I work at a university as a lecturer. So as you can imagine, most of my job involves, talking face to face with students or other staff members. So it's been a bit strange not having that. I currently live on my own. So in terms of the social distancing stuff, I don't come into contact with that many people. But yeah, just trying to figure out how I can still do my job in terms of the contact time with staff and other students and things like that, and trying to adapt to this sort of virtual world, I guess.
So have you been managing to pick up some of your work from home then? Have you been speaking to the students still, or have you been having to do all the aspects of the job while you've been away?
Yeah, so there's been a lot of planning mostly. As part of my job as well, I run the university's wind tunnel. Obviously that part I haven't managed to do, but in terms of talking to the students and what have you, we've just had to move things to like online meeting sessions and talking to them through, Microsoft Teams and stuff like that about their projects.
Microsoft Teams does seem to be coming up quite a lot now when I'm speaking to people. It seems to have been a program that I've never heard about until about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so I think it was only introduced a couple of months ago or something like that, and it's something that I never picked up until it was decided that was the best program to go with. So that was a bit of a steep learning curve as well, trying to sort of implement that. But yeah, I think it's working pretty well.
Sounds good. And the aspect of you living on your own, are you managing to keep talking with other people, managing to speak with family and friends and the like? So what's your communication channels like?
Talking to, colleagues at university as well, just keeping updated on what their situations are. Talking to friends, video chatting via Facebook and things like that, instead of actually, going out for a drink to the pub or something like that, or meeting them on a weekend. We just sort of adapt that kind of thing so that it's online, and we're obviously staying in our respective homes, and talking to family and stuff. I tend to ring them on the weekends anyway, so not much changed in that respect. So yeah, a majority of my life, I'm a pretty unsociable person anyway, so that hasn't changed too much.
I was going to ask you that question, whether this is is this a blessing or a curse for yourself? I'm definitely a little bit in the blessing side because I'm I wouldn't say unsociable. I just like my own space, I guess, at times.
Yeah, I suppose unsociable isn't the correct word. I think most of my job is obviously a very social setting, doing lectures and tutorials and things like that. So I spend a lot of time during my working week speaking with people. So I think during the weekends, I tend to just sort of shut down a little bit, have a bit of time on my own, things like that. So it just kind of feels like I'm in that kind of weekend mode at the moment. But having said that, we've only been on lockdown since Tuesday, I think. So this is only day 3. So we're still very early on in this period, I think.
Yeah, for many people, it is day 3 currently. And I don't think everybody's quite losing their minds yet. Spoke to a few people that have been doing this for a week or so now and have children, and it's starting to hit home for them. So I think both of us are counting our blessings in that regard. We've got a bit of peace to ourselves.
Yeah, I suppose it's different for everybody who've got kids who are now obviously not in school and things like that. I imagine their lives have changed pretty drastically compared to my own.
Well, it's looking after kids and entertaining them, but if it's just yourself, then what are you doing for your own entertainment at the minute? You got things that you're still able to enjoy, watch, or are you struggling to find things because the virus has shut a lot down?
Yeah, so there's still like Netflix, Amazon Prime, stuff like that. I've just got my Disney Plus subscription as well, so I've been watching quite a lot of stuff on there.
You get into a question that I was going to ask in a little bit. Have you watched anything yet, or what's your first thing you're planning on watching?
I've watched the first 2 episodes of The Mandalorian, the 2 that are available so far. So getting into that and enjoying that for the moment. And yeah, the other big thing as well on there is obviously they've got pretty much all the Marvel movies up to this point and all the Star Wars stuff. It means that any Marvel movies that I missed, because I think there are a couple that I haven't seen yet, I can jump straight in and kind of finish those off. And they've got all 30 seasons of The Simpsons as well. I've got plenty of stuff to watch in that respect.
Seems like perfect timing. Is there anything else that you've been keeping yourself entertained with? This
is probably a really nerdy thing. I'm quite involved and quite enjoy motorsport a lot. Obviously, the fact that there's no racing is kind of, that's a little bit annoying for me. But I have got a home simulator rig, so I've been spending a lot of time on like R Factor and Assetto Corsa and racing games like that. Spending time on those games.
That sounds fun, to be fair. The time you've got now, use it and enjoy it. So can't really complain at that. And never going to call anything nerdy. If once people find out my true hobbies and the likes, then I need to say nothing to anyone about nerdiness.
I'm sure a lot of that is going to come up in some of the conversations that you'll be having over the next few podcasts.
I'm sure. Fitness-wise, are you keeping yourself fit and moving? Are you getting out for your one exercise a day, or getting down to the shops and having a walk or anything?
So I haven't been doing too much at the moment, but it is definitely, I can feel my sort of normal fitness level dropping a bit. So when I'm at work, I make a point of going out during lunchtimes and things like that, and being confined to the house and not really getting out, I can sort of feel myself kind of recessing into the sofa and not moving for much of the day.
Worrying how easy it is to do that, though, isn't it?
It is incredibly, especially since I've been doing all of my work on the work laptop, and then suddenly it gets to around 4 or 5 o'clock when I'm due to finish, and then it's like, right, TV time, or I go and make dinner or something like that, and then go back and sit on the sofa. Yeah, that's kind of one of those patterns that I can feel myself falling into and kind of need to pick myself out a little bit. I'm sure over the coming weeks, however long this shutdown period is going to last, at that point I'll sort of find a new sort of fitness regime, I guess.
Yeah, we'll all be sofa fitness experts, I think. I'm not quite sure what I'm meant to do with the sofa. Can I do dips off the arms or something?
Yeah, definitely. At the moment, I'm really working in that sofa dent.
Oh yeah, no, I'm staring at mine quite right now. I'm recording from the lounge, and I'm just seeing that there are 2 creases there where I have been sat for too long today.
I think that's the biggest wake-up call as well, when you realise something like that. It's like, okay, I should be moving a little bit more than I am.
Oh, and the arm dent on the arm where my arm's been sat. So yeah, definitely, you're waking me up to needing to move around a little bit today. One thing that the virus has done is cancel quite a few events, whether that be music, sport, and the likes. Now, you did say you're a motorsports fan, and F1 has been affected. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, it's left me with significantly less things to watch during the weekend. Obviously, the football's gone as well, so that's pretty much everything that I've watched during a weekend. But yeah, I was due to go to the opening round of the British GT in a couple of weeks' time with some of my friends. Unfortunately, that's been cancelled as well, so we've had to make alternative arrangements. Luckily, I hadn't bought the ticket yet, but we had paid for the Airbnb, but the money came back from that, so that's all good. It's kind of strange, and it's also kind of putting me off looking at other races that I could go to, just in case there are further cancellations. I know on the motorsport side, we've been told that nothing's happening in the UK until the end of June. I'm not quite sure what that's like abroad, but because of the timing and things like that, it's kind of put a stop to all that.
It's a big issue, of course, for everybody at the moment. So yeah, we're just waiting to see when the events are going to be coming back. So I just currently want to ask if there's anything you want to vent about, anything that's getting you at the minute.
Yeah, there's sort of a bit of an aspect of, obviously because I live on my own, so there's nobody else around the house, but managing to kind of sidestep that by making sure that I call people, video chat, and all that sort of stuff. That's kind of brought that conversational element back into it. it did get to a point, a couple of days ago where all of the news is about the virus. There's no way of getting around that. And so I just found myself switching the news off. And to be honest, I've been trying to stay away from all that kind of stuff as much as possible, just for my own sanity, really, because obviously it is an incredibly serious issue, as I'm sure everybody is aware. I think at some points then people can take it a little bit too far, as we've seen with the bulk buying situations and that kind of stuff. But then there's the other side of it, people not taking it seriously enough. And at the moment, we seem to be only seeing those extremes. So it's nice to just kind of step back from that a little bit. I realised that by socially distancing myself and not going out as much as I normally would, that I'm helping potentially hundreds of people with underlying health problems or, elderly people or something like that. So trying to remove myself from that situation, I feel then I'm not focusing too much on all of the bad stuff that's going on, and also managing to make sure that nobody else contracts this virus potentially.
Of course, that's it at the minute. If you're not a key worker, stay indoors, stay out of the way of people, let people get on with doing their jobs, and we'll sit in and keep out of the way, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
That brings me to shopping. Have you managed to get shopping done? And the key thing right now, like I said before, I'm not sure what the situation is for everyone, but what is the toilet roll situation like?
Toilet roll situation is good. There's only one of me in the house, so but yeah, sort of as a follow-on to that, I did actually move into this house about 4 weeks ago, something like that. So just before this, the coronavirus sort of escalated in this country. So I was actually kind of lucky in terms of the fact that about 4 weeks ago, I was filling up my cupboards anyway. So I got rice, pasta, all that kind of stuff, a lot of the tins and that, before people started panic buying everything. I don't know whether it's fair to call it fortunate or not, but I ended up getting some of that stuff before it became impossible, really.
So finally, Rob, just want to ask, what is it that you're looking forward to the most when all of this tides over?
So probably two things jump out at me at the moment. The first one is that I can go back to watching motorsport, going to the racetracks and following it again. I suppose we can extend that to sport in general, waiting for the football to be back. Obviously, the Euros have been cancelled in the summer, but there's the potential that they're going to be finishing off the Premier League and Football League seasons during that time. So that's not so bad. And the second one is probably just being able to go to the pub again and sitting down and having a drink with some of my friends and just thinking, thank God all this is over.
Couldn't agree with you more. A few of the things that I'm missing myself, to be fair. Thank you for being with us today, Rob. Thanks for giving us the time and chatting about your situation.
Yeah, no problem at all. Thanks for the invitation.
I'd like to thank you for taking the time to listen to the podcast. If you'd like to keep up with what's happening, then follow us on Twitter at TheSDpod. And any questions you have for the podcast, please send these to TheSDpod@gmail.com. Take care.